Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am Amber and I am on a health journey. I'm using WW as a tool to help me get to my goals, but that's okay if you're not on WW because I still share healthy lifestyle as well as delicious recipes, whether you're trying to lose weight or not, because I don't make gross food, okay? So consider hitting that subscribe button if you want more recipes. So from time to time, I will post these videos and they will be different kind of categories of foods for you working babes who need ideas for lunches throughout the week. And you don't even have to be working to need to plan your lunches because sometimes you, don't like to cook all the freaking time, and having something in there ready to go for lunch is good. You also might have a toddler at home, and I'm just gonna pray for you. And maybe you can try these so that you also have food ready to go when you are hungry. Iced coffee, the size of my head. So I'm sharing 4 recipes, which is 2 weeks worth of lunches. Like I said before, these are focusing on the hunger crushing combo, which is protein, fiber, and healthy fats. When you have this combination at any time, but especially at lunch, this satisfies your hunger and also gives you the ability to get through the rest of your day so you can get home and take off your shoes and pour a glass of wine because you made it. Before we get into these 4 recipes, let's talk about strategy for planning your lunches. So while creating this video, I have made some assumptions. I assume you are working Monday through Friday about 9 to 5. You can still use these recipes even if those aren't true, but when I talk about our calendar and what days to do things, just know you need to change those up to make them work for your schedule if your schedule is not Monday through Friday about 9 to 5. I do not enjoy eating the same food 5 days in a row. I know there are a lot of people who can eat the same meal over and over and over again, and unfortunately, I'm not that person, but it sure would make life easier if I were. So I'm gonna assume you're not that person either, and I'm planning 2 lunches for each week. We are going to do the first one as a meal prep on the weekend when you have your off days. Most likely that's gonna be on Sunday, so that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have lunch already ready to go. Our second recipe is going to be something that is much easier and quicker to put together that you can do on Wednesday night before going to work on Thursday and Friday. I mean, it's Wednesday. You've already survived 3 days of work. You're tired. You don't wanna be making food. It's gotta be easy, or else you're not gonna do it. That is how I plan lunches for the week. I also recommend going ahead and adding these recipes to your WW app on the weekend, as well as adding them to your weekly planner so that when lunch comes, it's already in there and you don't have to worry about how many points is this. Oh no, I didn't add the recipe. Just do it on the weekend when you do your meal prep, when you're chilling at the end of the night, and you'll be good to go for the rest of the week. P.S. If you don't love cooking, don't worry. We have another edition of Ultimate Lunchbox planned for you, but I need a little time. Okay, so we are starting off strong with our first week's meals. We are starting off with Greek chicken. Yum. We're going to turn this Greek chicken into power bowls. The Greek chicken recipe that I have linked below with all the other recipes in the description box is something that you need to do a couple days before starting work. So if you start work on Monday, we are going to prepare our marinade on Saturday night or Sunday morning so that we can marinate our chicken for at least 6 hours before cooking it. Then we will cook it Sunday, either at lunch or at dinner. Buy some burgers, throw those on the grill, have some Greek chicken on the side for your work week, and then you have 2 delicious meals. And then on Wednesday night, as you are cooking dinner for your family, you're gonna go ahead and hard boil some eggs at the same time, so that when you are done cooking, your eggs are resting on ice, and you can make an egg salad after dinner. This will be easy to throw together for lunch on Thursday and Friday. I'm gonna pair my egg salad with English muffins, spinach, and carrots and hummus. Now, I'm gonna state the obvious here. If you don't like carrots and hummus, don't eat carrots and hummus. Pick whatever you like. Maybe you like cucumbers with ranch or apples with peanut butter. Hey, whatever you like, add it. Because here, on Am's in Progress. Be cool, man. My husband just, I don't know what he's doing. There's a lot of beeping. You know, here at Am's in Progress, we do not eat food that doesn't taste good, because we know that just really is setting ourselves up for failure and for binges later in the evening. Not to mention, like, that just sucks. And we're trying to enjoy our healthy lifestyle and not feel like we're being punished for not being the weight we want to be. Week 2, we are starting off with honey, garlic, chicken, cauliflower fried rice, or fried cauliflower rice. You know what I mean. Then on Wednesday, we are actually going to make a dinner in a crock pot while we're at work that will give us plenty of leftovers for Thursday and Friday as well. So make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss any of these recipes. There are timestamps below just in case there is a recipe you'd like to go ahead and jump to. Now down below, I do have the original recipe linked for the Greek chicken, but in parentheses by that recipe, I let you know any adjustments I made to the recipe. Like, I always add a lot less oil than the recipe calls for because, you know, those things are really high in points, especially for that yogurt dip. Most of it's gonna stay in the bag. Why count points for oil that doesn't even enter your face? When I am preparing my marinade, I like to go ahead and make my tzatziki as well because it's the same seasonings. I already have, you know, the cutting board dirty, all those things. I already have the Greek yogurt out and my measuring cups out. So go ahead and make it at the same time. That way, you don't have to worry about it when it's time to actually cook dinner. If you absolutely hate cucumber, this is still a good tzatziki. It wouldn't be tzatziki, but it would be a Greek yogurt dip. Just keep the cucumber out and do all the other seasonings and garlic, and it's still a really good dip without the cucumber. I personally don't love cucumber, so I only added half a cucumber to my tzatziki. And if you just don't like tzatziki at all, hummus is always a good replacement. And you can buy that from the store and not have to make it. I'm starting out by making my seasoning blends. In the 2 smaller containers, I'm adding half a teaspoon of each seasoning, and in the larger one, I'm adding a whole tablespoon. I'm going ahead and making all these seasoning mixtures I'll need for my tzatziki, my Greek chicken, and my zucchini all at once since it's all the same seasonings. For the zucchini, I use the exact same seasoning blend as the tzatziki sauce uses. Now I'm going to go on to making my Greek chicken. Into a gallon bag, I added my Greek yogurt, my oils, the zest of my lemon. And this was a really large lemon, so I juiced my lemon, but then I only added all but 1 tablespoon of the juice because I needed 1 tablespoon of the juice for my tzatziki. So once I dump that in there, I add the 1 tablespoon back into this container, and I'll be coming back to that later. Now I'm going to add my seasoning blend in here. This recipe is linked below, and we need 10 cloves of garlic for this marinade, as well as 2 for our tzatziki. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of it ready at the same time. I just cut off the root end and then smash them with the side of my knife to get the paper off. And then as always, I'm using my garlic press. If you like garlic a lot and you don't have a garlic press, I really recommend getting one. However, you can use a zester like this to use one instead of mincing them, but the press is way easier and it's like $6. So if you like garlic at all, just get the press. We're just going to do this one at a time, pressing each garlic clove into this. The garlic makes it. Don't think you're going to half the garlic and it's going to work. Just do all the garlic. And then I have those other 2 remaining garlic cloves for my tzatziki. I'm going to go ahead and add those to the lemon juice I'm saving. Just trying to make life easier later in the week. Now I'm going to close this bag up and smush all of this marinade together. Now that it's all combined, I'm going to add my chicken. It's about 1.5 pounds, which was three different chicken breasts for me. You can buy tenderloins. I love the way that the chicken tenders are on the grill. However, it is more work to flip them and things, so we left ours in these bigger, thinner breasts. Once you smush it all around and make sure the marinade is touching all of the chicken, I just kind of roll up my bag so that, again, I know all of my marinade is next to the chicken, and I'm going to leave that overnight in the fridge. Now I'm going to go ahead and prep my tzatziki. I ended up only using half of this cucumber for my tzatziki since I don't love cucumber. I'm going to quarter them and then just cut out the seeds. I ended up chopping up that other half and then grating these. I stopped grating when I got about 1 inch away from my finger because you don't want, fingers in your tzatziki sauce. Now, I'm that person who, is just going to load up. Instead of taking more than one trip, I'm just going to load up all my groceries and suffer real hard and only take one trip. That's what's happening here because I could have just mixed this up in a bowl and then added it to my mason jar. But no, I was being difficult. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I have my Greek yogurt, my cucumber, my spices, my lemon, my garlic, and now my feta. I'm stirring it all into this mason jar that I have lids for, as well as 2 teaspoons of oil. It worked out, but, maybe just use a bowl and save yourself the hassle. And pop this in the fridge. So it's now Sunday and we are ready to prepare our Greek chicken. So first you're gonna pull it out of the refrigerator and let it sit at room temperature for about 30 minutes. That way it doesn't go on the grill really cold. If you're grilling, this is also smart to do if you're cooking in a pan or whatever. Grilling is the best method in my opinion. It gives it the most flavor. However, we're gonna do it on a Blackstone. You can do it in the oven, just bake it for about 20 minutes, check it, cook until it's done, or you can do it on the stove top. We're also going to make some quinoa with this meal. I chose quinoa because it has more protein and more fiber than regular rice. If rice is one of those 0 point foods for you, I recommend going with a brown rice because it is going to give you more fiber. And that is the key of these meals, is making sure you have fiber, protein, and healthy fat. So we have a good amount of fiber and protein here in our quinoa to go in our Greek power bowls. I also don't like raw tomatoes, so I'm going to throw mine in the air fryer for about 15 minutes just so they kind of start bursting. That's when I like them. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil spray and some salt and call it done. Thankfully, the hardest part of this meal is already done. We've already marinated our chicken and we've already made our tzatziki. So the rest of this kind of comes together pretty quickly. We're gonna make some zucchini, which I'm gonna cut on the mandolin. I use the same seasoning mix that I did for the tzatziki, so it's same amounts and everything that you see in the tzatziki recipe. You can of course cook your zucchini however you like it, or skip it altogether if you like cucumbers and just add a bunch of raw tomato and cucumber to your bowls. Unfortunately, I don't love cucumbers, so zucchini is kind of a way for me to get points back without having to eat something I don't like. You can cook your zucchini any way you'd like. I like to use this mandolin whenever I'm going to be grilling zucchini, or in this case, using the Blackstone. Please be very careful. Mandolins are extremely sharp, so don't cut yourself. I would cut my slices and then add them to this baking dish. I just sprayed them with some avocado oil and then the sprinkling of seasonings, flipped them over and repeated that process, and then let them sit there until we were ready to add them to the Blackstone. These had a great flavor. They were a little bit mushy almost, so maybe don't add the seasoning until you're ready to cook them, because ours sat for about 15 minutes and that salt did draw out some of the water and make it a little bit mushy. Now I'm going to use the whites of some scallions for my quinoa. This is optional, but I really like the extra flavor it gives my quinoa. And then because I like green onions, I also chopped the top half that I can add as well. So add those whites to a little bit of oil in your pan here. Once these get tender, you're gonna add garlic. Cook that just for another minute. And then you're gonna add your chicken broth as well as your rinsed quinoa. If you don't have broth, you can use water. I'm just, again, trying to add as much flavor as I can to my quinoa. I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and then I'm gonna pop the lid on and cook it for about 15 minutes. Added a little bit of salt and pepper. A couple more honorable mentions for our bowls are Kalamata olives. These are really good, even if you don't like olives. I do not like regular black olives or green olives, but I like these, especially these that have the different herbs mixed with this. You can see all those herbs down below. It's a great healthy fat. And another thing you can add to your bowls are feta cheese. We already had to use it for our tzatziki, so you might as well use a few crumbles on top of your bowl as well. At the end of these recipes, I'm gonna share with you how to package this for your lunch so that you're ready to go. You have no questions, you know exactly how to package this up and eat this at work. And just in case you think this is a little too much work for lunch, number one, it's delicious and you won't regret it when you're eating it in the middle of the day. However, this also makes a great dinner recipe. Don't forget, while you're watching your husband do all that work, pour yourself a little something in a wine glass. Feel a little bit better about life. Good man. I like that. Oh my gosh, it already smells really good. If you have a Blackstone, it's amazing because you can cook it a lot at once, so it cuts down on your cooking time. But if you don't, you can just do these in batches in the air fryer, in the oven, or on the stovetop. You put it. So in this meal series, you will see these to-go containers. I got 25 of them for about $12 at my grocery store. I know Walmart sells some too, and this is what they look like. I keep only half of them in my cabinets, and then once these go bad, I will throw these away and add more from the package because I don't need 25 in my cabinet all at the same time. This is what I think is easiest, so this is what I use. Feel free to use glass containers. I use a lot of glass containers for things to keep in my fridge, but things that we're gonna travel with in a lunch bag, I just find plastics easier because we've had some mishaps, and we've also had things not come back, and then that's really expensive to keep replacing. You'll also see things like these to-go cups. These are 2-ounce little containers. Comes with a container like this and a little lid. I get these in my the Ziploc section of my grocery store, and that's also where I got the other meal prep containers. And then I also use things like snack bags or sandwich Ziploc bags. We're gonna let all this cool and then we'll be ready to assemble. Cut your chicken into bite-sized pieces. Your chicken is cut up and cooled. Everything is now room temperature. We are ready to make our lunch boxes. I would do this assembly style where I had all 3 containers lined up, but for the sake of filming, we're gonna do one at a time. You're gonna have about a half a cup of quinoa. You can make this as pretty or as thrown together as you'd like. I kind of like to do a mixture of the two. Put the chicken next to the quinoa. I'm going to add my tomatoes and some zucchini. I'm gonna leave a little hole here because I have my tzatziki. I put 3 tablespoons in this container. I'm gonna put it right in there, just like that. And I'm only putting things in here that I'm going to be okay with microwaving. I'm gonna add some green onions to mine. 1 tablespoon of the feta cheese, doesn't add any points at all. And then adding 10 pieces of these olives adds 1 point. There's so much flavor, I think it's worth it. You can microwave your olives, so you can just add them straight in here, or if you don't like that idea, you can put a little less tzatziki and add them to your to-go container. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is everything that I can pull this out and microwave this. I'll do it for about 30 seconds, stir it up, 30 seconds, stir it up until it's all warmed through. But if you want to add fresh tomatoes and fresh cucumbers, I recommend adding them in a sandwich bag. You can add both of them together in here. I cooked all my tomatoes, so I don't have anything any to show you. Put them on top here, so that way you can remove this and your tzatziki before you microwave. Put 3 of these little kits together, and that is your first 3 days ready to go. I just wanted to say I had that Greek chicken for dinner because I wasn't eating hamburgers. So good. It's definitely worth a try, and it really isn't that much effort when you kind of get a system going, especially when you're cooking like 1 thing in the air fryer, 1 thing on the stove, 1 thing in the oven. You can get it done pretty quickly. The hardest part is really throwing together that marinade and the tzatziki sauce. But that tzatziki sauce, I'm telling you, it is so flavorful. It helps really brighten up the dish and makes it pop. I think it's definitely worth making if you like tzatziki sauce. Also wanted to add that there is some spice in this because there is quite a bit of Cajun seasoning. If you cannot handle spice at all, cut down that Cajun seasoning and add salt instead. Not a whole tablespoon, but replace it with salt. If you can handle a little bit, you can cut half of it down and add a little bit of salt. In my case, I can handle about medium, and I thought it was the perfect amount of spice level. It was enough to be flavorful and interesting without it burning my tongue. Now we're going to fast forward and act like this is Wednesday night. So as I cook dinner, I'm just gonna add eggs on to hard boil. You can hard boil them however you like. I've seen people do it in the Instant Pot, in the air fryer. For me personally, I like to put my eggs with enough water to cover about 1 inch, bring it up to a boil. As soon as it boils, I turn it off the heat, put on the lid and let it cook for 17 minutes. Then I switch it to an ice bath for 5 minutes and then I peel them. But again, do it however you like to hard boil your eggs. Side note, if you do cut your egg open and you have that green film right around the edge of the yolk, that means you have overcooked your eggs. So decrease your time 1 minute or 2 when you're cooking. This egg salad recipe makes 3 servings, so you have plenty for your Thursday, Friday lunches, plus now you have breakfast prepared for Saturday. One reason I chose to pair the Greek chicken with the egg salad together is because they both use plain Greek yogurt. So I could buy 1 large container, use it for both meals, and then I know that I don't have the yogurt going bad in my fridge because I never finish it when I don't have it used for a specific recipe. This way you cut down on waste, and I think we could all use that right now. While we are waiting for our eggs to be ready to peel, we're gonna go ahead and make the dressing. We're gonna use 1/3 cup of Greek yogurt, 2 tablespoons or 1/8 of a cup of light mayo, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I just eyeball it. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic, salt. I like a whole teaspoon of dill. The recipe calls for 1/4, but I like a very dilly egg salad. So you do what suits your tastes. And then just a few cracks of fresh pepper. Or the ground pepper will be just fine, whatever you have. And then we're gonna mix that up. That is as simple as it gets. Once we have removed the shells of our eggs, we will chop them up into bite-sized pieces and then stir them into our Greek yogurt mix. Anytime I prep spinach or lettuce, I like to add a little bit of paper towel into my sandwich bag. This way, if there's any moisture, it gets trapped by the paper towel and it doesn't have my spinach going bad 1 or 2 days later. I'm also going to go ahead and cut up my English muffin that I'm going to use and toast it. If you have a toaster at work, you don't have to worry about this step. But if you don't, having that little crisp on the outside of the bread is worth it. And then we're just going to chop up all of our eggs and add it to that Greek mixture. This is also great for meal prep for breakfast if this isn't something that you want for lunch. But I like egg salad, so I don't mind having it for lunch. You can pop it in the fridge just like that. I'm going to go ahead and portion it out. I have these different containers that have the 3 different sides. I like to add this for things like this, that none of this is going to be microwaved, but I don't necessarily want my eggs to be touching my muffin because I don't want my muffin to get soggy. So having this compartment kind of helps. I'm going to add my hummus that is already portioned out, as well as some carrots. Add whatever kind of side you would like, but I do recommend it being a vegetable. And then go ahead and get your English muffin packed away. Once it's cooled down, don't put your lettuce on top of a hot English muffin. And I'm adding a side of fruit to mine, any kind of fruit you like. This is the next day, and I'm showing you how I like to make this. So open it up and take out your spinach and layer down your English muffin. Then I put the layer of spinach on top. And then I scoop my egg salad on top of that. And then I eat them like 2 small open sandwiches. Or like some strange avocado toast, minus the avocado. Add your veggies to the side. And don't forget your fruit. Now we have week 2 recipes. We're gonna start off with the honey chicken fried cauliflower rice. This should take about 30 minutes of your Sunday. If you're a single person, you can have it for dinner on Sunday and then the next 3 days for lunches, or, you know, give one to a loved one if you only wanna have it for your 3 lunches, or you can always throw it in the freezer. I'm a big fan of doing that. That way I have a meal already ready for me in a week or 2 when I'm not sick of eating it again. This one does come together pretty quickly. I think the hardest part is getting all of the ingredients out and measuring them. Like that's the hardest part, really. So let's go ahead and get to doing that. We're gonna start out by making a sauce that is going to coat the chicken. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of soy. I'm doing this gluten-free one. 1 tablespoon of honey. 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 2 teaspoons of rice vinegar. I don't have rice vinegar. I thought I did, so I'm gonna use white wine, but if you have rice, that would be the better option. But, you know, white vinegar. No need to buy a giant vinegar. You're only gonna use once. And then now we're gonna add 4 garlic cloves pressed. Now we're just gonna stir this up. Set this aside. Now I'm gonna cut my shallot. If you've never had a shallot before, it's just kind of like a mild onion flavor. A lot of dressing recipes use it because it's just not as big of a punch in the face as normal raw onion. Add this to a bowl. And then you're gonna add frozen peas and carrots at the same time you're adding the shallot. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure it out and put it in here so it's ready to go when I need it. Gonna throw that in a Ziploc bag throw it back in the freezer. Got 2 stuff ready to go, and I like to make sure that the last thing I prep is my meat. That way I don't have to worry about any cross-contamination. And I like to use a different cutting board.
You're going to cut your chicken into bite-sized pieces, cleaning off any extra fat or pieces you don't like. I found this bag of chicken in the freezer section where I got 5 pounds for $10 for a great price. And you just have to make sure you thaw it out before you need it. So that's what I did. And it made it nice thin pieces, which I really prefer actually. So then we're just going to add some salt and pepper, and these are ready to be thrown in the skillet.
The recipe calls for a wok. Unfortunately, I don't have one. So I'm just going to use this cast iron skillet. And I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. You want to pick something that has a really high smoke point. I'll wait for it to get really hot, and then I'm going to throw my chicken in. While this is getting heated up, I'm actually going to throw my riced veggies into the microwave. It says to cook for 5 minutes. I'm only going to cook it for 3. I just want it to be thawed and about halfway cooked before I add it to my pan. Now that we have just a brief amount of time before the chicken needs to be pulled off, we're going to add half of the sauce that we made. We're going to save the other half for when we are doing the veggies at the ends. We're just going to stir this until chicken's cooked through and all of this is thickened. Smells so good, guys. That garlic, oh. Yeah, you might as well go ahead and make a double batch of this, because once everyone smells this cooking, they're gonna be upset if this is not for dinner. I am making mine with cauliflower rice, which is what the recipe shows if you click on the www link. However, you can use regular rice for this, as well as a combination. If you want to do part rice, part cauliflower rice, that's perfectly acceptable too. I like to keep my lunch points a little bit lower because I only have 21 a day, which is why I went with the cauliflower rice. Pull this off into a fresh bowl. Don't put it in your raw chicken bowl. Eat another tablespoon of avocado oil. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop in our frozen veggies. Hopefully you can get this pan a little bit cooler. All right, that had our shallot that we chopped as well as our frozen veggies. We're gonna let the liquid from these frozen veggies kind of help deglaze the bottom of this pan a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and take my pan down to a 3.5, just under medium. It says to keep the wok on high, but like I said, this gets really hot, and I can already tell things are wanting to burn. So that shallot is already almost cooked through, so I'm going to go ahead and add my cauliflower rice that I had microwaved for just 3 minutes. Do it about half of whatever your package says, or you can add it straight from frozen. You'll just need to add it a little earlier in the process. So mine is warmed all the way through, so I'm going to add the other half of my sauce. Okay, it's cooked for just another minute. I'm going to add back our chicken. Trying to get all those delicious juices in there. And we can turn off the heat because this bad boy is done cooking. The last step is to add some lime juice to the top. This says 2 teaspoons. Just gonna be about 1 lime. And stir it one more time and give her a taste. Make sure everything in my bite. Oh no. Okay. Yes, that's delicious. So as I have packaged them up, I added some sriracha, a quarter of a lime to each one so we can add more as they come. And I put a fourth of a cup of this light yum yum sauce in here. And so I'm just going to split it between all of them. And that will give me a tablespoon worth on each one, which is 2 points. All right. That's why you don't do it using your phone. So as you can see, there is quite a big space in here. Now these are large containers. This is over a cup of food, probably close to 1.5 cups of food. You can see if you had a spring roll or those dumplings, it'd be really easy to fit into that little section. I'm gonna squirt my lucky me, I get to eat this for dinner as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig into this. It's like a flavor explosion in your mouth. If you like cilantro, sprinkling that on top would also be good. I don't, and I honestly just threw some away. I would have added it to my husband's. I forgot. All right, I'm gonna go eat this delicious thing. Once these are room temperature, I'll put the lids on and throw them in the fridge. And now I have my next 3 days of lunches planned out. So I'll see you when it's time to plan our next meal.
You've made it to Wednesday morning, so you're going to do this before going to work. I chopped an onion. You could also use onion from the freezer section that's already chopped up. Added chicken broth, my cream of chicken soup, making sure you get all of that out. Salt and pepper. Garlic, brown rice, and then my chicken. I recommend getting your Instant Pot and all your ingredients out the night before, obviously the ones that don't need to be refrigerated. That way it's ready to go the next morning. I added 3 frozen chicken breasts. I wanted them to be frozen because I was going to cook this for 9 hours just like you left to go to work. It says 8, but I checked it at 8 and cooked it an additional hour. I decided to use broccoli because it was something that can be done really quickly once you got home. My brown rice was not done, so I actually turned off my Instant Pot and then set it for the rice function and sealed it. And then so you see me here releasing the pressure I showed you on the Instant Pot. I just hit the rice button, let it cook for 10 minutes. And then you saw me releasing that pressure. Then I sprinkled it with cheese, put the lid back on for the cheese to melt. But we actually liked it better without the cheese. The bites that didn't have cheese were much better than the bites with the cheese. So I took the cheese out of the recipe.
Anytime I re-warm up any kind of dish that has rice mixed in, I always add a splash of water before microwaving it. We ran out of broccoli. We ate it all the night we ate this. So I always keep some canned green beans in the pantry so that I can throw it with my lunches if I need to. I don't love the cheese on this, so in the recipe I left the cheese out. So add a little bit of oil to your green beans or whatever vegetable you choose. That way you get a little bit of healthy fats in there. Because don't forget, we need all 3 of our hunger crushing combos. I microwaved this for 30 seconds at a time. It took about 1.5 minutes. It might have taken 2 minutes. I lost count. But just stir each time. Add a little water if I need to. Stir every time. Okay guys, that is our ultimate lunchbox. I hope you enjoyed that. Please hit the like button if you found this at all helpful. That really helps me so I can grow my channel.